Okay, so Nathan Bell is going to talk to us about his experience through psychosis and the life-changing arena that we know of as mysticism and magic. Nathan is a spiritualist, atheist, and believer in the purity of science, depending on his state and place, and, of course, the connection that he feels at that particular time. He's a client of Reliability, which is a service for the creative arts, and he also works for them on Fridays. He does networking with the radio stations for the clients who make musicians, and so they can get their music listened to on the radio stations. I have to admit, I haven't read any of Nathan's books, but I'm very much looking forward to hearing about his journey through the mystics. Nathan, if you'd like to come up.
Yeah, sure.
They look so at peace as they sit waiting for the fish to bite.
Thank you. Hey guys, so thanks for having me. My name's Nathan Bell. I've written 5 stories about a variety of subjects, but today I'm going to focus on 2 of my stories which deal with the psychotic episode that I had a few years ago. As she said, depending on the day, I'm an atheist or I'm a spiritualist, or I believe that there's a uniting force in the universe, or I think it's all just empty space and particles, and depending on what I'm looking at on the internet and what I'm learning about, and I've had a bit of a crisis of spiritual faith in the last few years, but I still believe there could be something grander out there, and I love magic and I love mysticism. That's why I wear the pentagram. But anyway, many years ago now, about 5 or 6 years ago, I had a very profound psychotic episode which lasted quite some time. And during that psychosis, I was having all sorts of experiences. I heard voices come into my mind, guiding me. I had a vision of a futuristic city full of robots and trees and floating buildings. I had ongoing dreams about war and conflict in the world, nuclear war, which is a strong theme in these books. And I believed I was being possessed by spirits who were guiding me in a mission to survive the nuclear war and lead Newcastle into becoming the capital of a new world in a new age after the war. It's all very grim. Nuclear war is very grim, but that's the prophecy I believed I had. So I thought I had this big prophetic purpose in the world, as many people do when they're in that state of mind. But it was all very profound, and the hallucinations were so engulfing and so overwhelming. They seemed so real, and the visual ones and the auditory ones. So anyway, I started to learn about mysticism and ancient interpretations of psychosis, and the idea that once upon a time, the person who had schizophrenia would be revered as a seer or a psychic of the tribe, and that many ancient traditions viewed hallucinations as spiritual visions. So I became more read about that sort of interpretation. Then I realised there was this whole other way of looking at psychosis, and I thought perhaps we can take something positive away from these experiences. So I decided to use those experiences to influence my art and creativity, and I wrote, as you can see, I've written 5 books in total so far, many of them dealing with themes that I created during that period of psychosis. And I create a variety of other mediums as well. I do visual art, I do music, I do digital art, and all of those things get influenced by ideas that I had when I was very unwell. But I had to go to the psych ward a few times, and I was in the psych ward believing I was possessed by an ancient monk who was training me in Kung Fu. So I was running around the psych ward doing punches and kicks, thinking I had this spirit possessing me, and it was all a lot of fun. And it was a jolly good time, actually. I didn't understand why the doctors thought it was such a terrible thing. I thought it was all great. But yeah, that's what the stories are about. And Shamanic Journey is this is Shamanic Journey, and this is all that happens in this story is the character that is based on me goes for a long morning walk to the beach in Newcastle, but whilst he is on this walk to the beach, all these strange coincidences happen. And I don't know if any of you have had this state of mind with psychosis where you become convinced that there are all of these coincidences happening. You've had that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had that very strong. It was very overwhelming that everything had these messages in it. There were all these signs and cues and omens in everything that was happening around me. And that's what happens to the character in this story. He walks to the beach and it's just a mundane walk to the beach. But while he's on the way, he has all these strange interactions with people and all these omens everywhere in the environment. And he becomes convinced that he's receiving messages from a higher power. And he contemplates life and the mysteries of the universe. So that's what happens in Shamanic Journey. Now, Wizard and the Eye-Man is about me and my friend Matthew, and we, at the same time, experienced psychosis together over a period of months. We were together while we were both very manic and very delusional, and we sort of fed into each other's delusions of grandeur. We both believed we were prophets. We both believed we had spiritual missions. And we were doing all this wacky conspiracy research on the internet. A lot of the stuff we were looking at was misinformation. Some of it was valid. I think I was a better researcher than Matthew because he believed in people who claimed that they worked for government time travel programs, while I was more into freedom of information releases. But it was all this really obscure stuff we were studying, and we went very deep down that rabbit hole together, both while we were in very deep psychosis. And we both ended up going to the psych ward. So the Wizard and the Eye-Man is about me and Matthew while we're in that state of mind. And again, it's only a very mundane scenario. We're basically just sitting in Matthew's living room throughout this story, and we're just chilling out in Matthew's living room looking at stuff on the computer. But then all this other complex stuff surrounds that. Like, we're talking about the mysteries of the universe. We're learning about these secret government programs. We're doing all this wacky research, and we both think we have supernatural powers. So that's what what happens in the Wizard and the Eye-Man. Now there are some of these themes in my novel Kings of the New Age as well. This again deals with the prophecy I believed I had. So just to be clear on the prophecy I came up with while I was delusional was that I had been placed on Earth by the God of the universe to live this life, to survive a nuclear war, to learn that I had supernatural powers, and to teach about the supernatural after the nuclear war, to usher in a new age of magic. It was this very elaborate delusion that I came up with. So that's what happens to the character on the front cover of this story, and the story starts just after the nuclear war, 2 years after the nuclear war. And he has to go on an epic quest to use magic to heal the world from radiation poisoning. So this deals with the themes of him having schizophrenia and his interpretations of schizophrenia as a psychic ability as well. So those are my 3 mystical books. And if you want to buy any of my books while I'm here today, I've got a card reader. So I can take card payments, and I've got change for a 50 as well. And my short stories are $15 and my novel is $30. So those are my mystical books. Now I have 2 other books I've written. I've written 1 Minute to Midnight, which is a letter written by a man just as the end of the world has happened and he flees to be with his family. I just need this one because I'm going to read out of this one. Yeah. So I've got 1 Minute to Midnight, and I've also got Saturday Night on Beaumont Street, which has been very popular. And Saturday Night on Beaumont Street I used to go street performing in Hamilton until 3 a.m. every Saturday night. I'd make a few $100, but it was a wild night. So Saturday Night on Beaumont Street is all about busking in Hamilton on Saturday, and it's just an account of the sort of things that can happen while you're out there playing music until very late in the night. Now, I'll just read a bit of Shamanic Journey to you. I'll just read the blurb on the back of Shamanic Journey first. Shamanic Journey is the surreal story of a man experiencing psychosis as he takes a long morning walk to the beach. The tale accounts his hallucinations, delusions, and paranoid thoughts as he embarks on this small adventure. Mystical and psychedelic, Shamanic Journey explores mental illness from an alternative perspective. Right, so I'll just read a little bit of Shamanic Journey. Have I got 5 minutes left?
15.
Oh yeah, great, cool. So the dedication in Shamanic Journey I'll read to you first. This story is dedicated to all the wonderful neurodiverse people of the world, all the schizophrenics, the bipolars and the autistics. May your amazing uniqueness and individuality bring beautiful variety to humanity. Because that's a part of my philosophy that I like to try and frame mental illness in a positive light so that we can say we're all individuals, we're all different, and we all have different characteristics. And I'm really into neurodivergence and different people having different ways of viewing the world and alternative perspectives and embracing everyone's strengths, and not focusing on what people can't do, but focusing on what they can do and finding strengths in things and finding positives in things.